Hi everyone, Mr. Melbourne here. I'm at the Rehmeyer's Hollow House down in the Stewartstown region, and it's something that is about a 15-minute drive from the Dallas-Stein area, and you can see it here in the background. Now, the story here is that this is our haunted house, at least according to legend. The story behind it is back in 1928, Nelson Rehmeyer was known as a magician, a powwow magic doctor, a healer, and he would heal different people within the York County area. And he never considered himself in any way to be a black magic doctor. He wasn't somebody that hexed people. But John Blymeyer, another resident of this area, thought that he had been hexed. And John Blymeyer was at this time in his 50s, and he thought that in his life, with his failing marriage, with his kids getting sick, some of his kids passing away, he thought that he had been hexed, that something serious had happened to him in his life. And so he wanted to find who had done this to him. He wanted to find out who may have hexed him. And so he spent every single dime that he had to try to find out who his hexer was. Eventually, Nellie Knoll of Marietta told him that it was this guy right here, Nelson Rehmeyer, that lived in this house. Nelson Rehmeyer had previously worked on John, had previously healed him at a younger age, and there's no evidence whatsoever that Nelson Rehmeyer was somebody that actually hexed anybody. But John believed it, and he started to recruit a team of people to come down here and confront Nelson Rehmeyer and see if they could get his hexer's book, his hexer's Bible, a book called The Long Lost Friend, which is a book of all sorts of different spells and powwow magic, and to also get a lock of his hair. So to get rid of a spell, a curse against you, you needed to have a lock of that person's hair, as well as their hexer's Bible, the Long Lost Friend book. So they come down here on a night in October of 1928, and they try to confront. And I'll say it's John Blymeyer, who's the person that thinks he's hexed, and he convinced a co-worker of his by the name of John Curry that he was also hexed, that all of his troubles were based off of a hex by Nelson Rehmeyer, and also Wilbert Hess. He also tells Wilbert Hess that his family's troubles were because of the curse as well. So they get a team of 3 guys, and they come down here in October of 1928 to confront Nelson Rehmeyer. Nelson totally denies it. In fact, the stupid thing is, they sleep the night here, and nothing happens. And the next morning, Nelson Rehmeyer makes them breakfast, and then they go home, and they still convince themselves that he's the guy that did it. So they come back here, and they then knock him against a couch, put him against a couch and a wall, corner him, and then proceed to beat him with blunt objects until he is beaten to death. And then they also try to burn the remains and burn his house. But all that's in this house is there's a small area where the floor got burned. In fact, if I could go into this house, I could show it to you right now. There's a small area where a burn mark is, where some of the floorboards are burned, but the rest of the house didn't burn. A couple days after that, a neighbor in this area heard some of the cows and some of the other farm animals from Nelson Rehmeyer's farm, heard them start to just scream because they hadn't been fed in days and days. And he finally ventures into Nelson Rehmeyer's house and sees his lifeless body. This becomes something absolutely sad for York County because everybody looks at us as some backwards area, because half of our population didn't go to a doctor. They wouldn't go to York Hospital. Half of our population would turn to these witches, these powwow doctors, for medicine. And so us being a German area, we believed in Germanic powwow medicine, and we'd rather go to one of those doctors than go to a westernized medicine like York Hospital type doctor. Eventually, United States descended upon this area. All sorts of psychiatrists, all sorts of different people descend upon this area to try to turn York County from this backwards area to a place that's going to be revolutionized and modern. And so we start to get away from that mindset of powwow magic. But there are still people in York County that very much believe in powwow medicine, powwow magic. And it's not too crazy. Some of the stuff is just like finding herbal remedies to ward away different issues, but some of the stuff is nuts, and I'll share some of that stuff with you, not to offend anybody whose family does believe in powwow medicine, but I'm sure anybody that does believe in it will also tell you that some of the stuff is a little wacky, such as when you have a child, as soon as the child is born, you're supposed to take that child to the highest room within the house so that they can be born with a high mind, have high intelligence. So some of the stuff's just a little bit weird. Some of the stuff is just part of medicine today, such as making like herbal teas and things like that. So it's not all that nuts. But for this situation, This is the most haunted house within York County and is a place you can get to very quickly. Do not try to trespass because you will get arrested. And so please, you can drive by here. I parked right next to it, but altogether, just try not to go in, especially around Halloween time, because the family, and I think the family of Nelson Rehmeyer still actually owns this house, they will call the cops on you. So just be prepared and be careful. All right, have a good one.